Realized we had no money, immediately called a staff-wide meeting. Hey, everybody come to the back. Guys, we have $0 in our bank account, so if you can't work here for free, then you might want to quit because we can't pay you. We went from like 30 employees to 3 in like 24 hours. If you teach me something right now, I can say that I learned it, but unless I get another opportunity to act on what you taught me and then choose the new information that you gave me, then I didn't learn anything. They spend the rest of their life in something I call the liability loop. You find something new, it's hard, you get discouraged. You find something new, it's hard, you get discouraged. Rather than finding something new, it's hard, you get discouraged, but you push through over a long period of time, and then finally it stabilizes itself.
Listen, you guys, make sure you got your pen and paper handy because this is exclusive access. Welcome to another episode of Access Granted, where I give you exclusive access to entrepreneurs who are killing it in their industry. I always love when we have these episodes and I get to share with you guys somebody that I learned from and somebody that has helped me with my journey. But I just want to welcome Justin. How are you today?
I am doing absolutely amazing now that I get to talk to you.
I appreciate you just coming in and pouring into our audience today. Well, before we get started, I know who Justin is, but can you tell the audience just a little bit about you and what you do?
Sure. So name's Justin P. Started a business called Support Black Colleges back in, when was that, 2018? Well, we started in 2012, started taking it seriously in 2018. And we scaled it to a little over $10 million in the first couple of years. And then after I exited, sold my side of the business and then started to teach people what we did to build the brand. So went from selling product to then teaching, and now that's what I do.
Support Black Colleges.
Correct.
What was that?
So it's a clothing brand.
Okay.
So we sold t-shirts, hoodies, things of that nature to HBCU students because I went to Howard University.
Okay.
So yeah, East Coast.
Oh, love it. So now you're teaching people how to start their own brand.
Correct.
Is it just digital? I mean, is it just merchandise? Is it digital products? Is it?
The way I look at it is that a product is a product in general. So I have the most experience in clothing, but all of these tools and tactics work well for any type of product.
I love it. So if I'm watching this right now and I just want to dive right in, right? Because this is Access Granted. If I'm watching this right now and I'm like, you know what? I've been thinking about putting a product online. What would be maybe 3 tips that you would give me on just how to start and how to be successful in this space?
So first thing is finding a product that you actually care about. A lot of people actually teach the opposite. So they say, find a trendy product, drop ship it, something that has traffic. I found that business is difficult, so it goes up and down. And let's just say you pick a product that you sell and you don't really care about it, and then business dips, then you're like, man, screw this. I don't really care about this in general. So I find something that I'm passionate about, that I actually care about, that'll help an audience that I care about, and then I pick that to sell. Number 2 is always focus. I find that newer entrepreneurs, they struggle with picking one idea and running with it for a long period of time without expecting success instantaneously. So I would say pick a product that you care about, focus on it for longer than 3 months, 6, 12, 18 months. And then from there, it's going to be all about 3 things, I'd say. Developing a winning product, developing a good website, and then figuring out how to get traffic. So those are the 3 things I'd probably focus on in the beginning.
That's really good. And I love that you touch on sticking with the journey, right? Because so many entrepreneurs, we want to be successful and we see the success on social media and we try to mirror that. And then we start these companies and they don't execute how we think they should. And so we're like on to the next. Now we want to do real estate or, now we want to jump into credit repair and funding and, and so, but it's like, if you would just stick it out with this one thing and give this one thing your all. But sometimes we do get into moments where we do have to pivot. Like, you did, you sold a portion of your company. When do you think we get to that space, or when do we say, hey, I gave this 110% and it's just not working?
That's actually a really good question. So the moment, I call it the push or pivot moment, when you have to figure out whether it's like, is this like me needing to just push a little bit harder, or have I gave this my all and I need to pivot? So the framework I always take myself through mentally is, I just ask myself, have I done literally everything within my power to get this as far as I know that I can? And if the answer truly, I know that is no, then I'll keep going. And then also, I'll even ask myself this too. And I'll ask myself, am I stopping doing this because I lack a skill, or am I stopping doing this because I've truly tried everything? And typically what I found is whenever I wanted to give up, I didn't have the skill set of managing people properly. And that's what was making it not fun for me, or I didn't know how to get traffic. So I would ask myself, okay, is this a skill that I'm lacking? And if it wasn't a skill that I was lacking, I gave it my all, then I'm just like, cool, I can pivot now. But typically I always found that it was just a lack of a skill set.
That's really good. Oh, I'm glad you shared that.
Okay, good.
Listen, you guys, make sure you got your pen and paper handy, because this is exclusive access and things that can definitely help you in your journey. So thank you for sharing. I think being an entrepreneur is it can be challenging.
Yeah.
What's some objectives that you faced, or some challenges that you faced in your journey? I know there's a lot.
Yeah, I always say to, especially to students, like, I've made enough mistakes for all of us, you know? So you got from like hiring too quickly. We had tens of thousands of orders coming in during like Black Friday time. And then we thought, hire more people so that we can fix the orders or get the orders out. And then we realized that we just needed to have our small staff trained better, because we just added on 30 plus employees within 7 days, and they didn't know what they were doing. So we weren't really doing anything efficiently when we could have just had our 4 or 5 staff members that we had just doing the job a lot better. That was one. Number two, big one that always comes up in my head is not tying your identity to the success of the business. That was a big one for me, because I was always so, I guess, just really loved money, you know, coming from a household where single parent household. My dad went to jail when I was 2. He got out when I was 17. So I didn't have a father figure for 15 years. And then my mom was, I'd say, a poor steward of money in her earlier years, to the point to where she would like give me her credit cards and be like, Justin, please cut this in half. And I'm like 12 or 13, or go hide this from me. And I remember like hiding the credit cards in the fridge, like under some old, you know, ground beef or something. And so then coming into like getting some money and then being like, man, I just don't know how to steward it properly. So, but then when I finally get money, I'm like, man, I'm successful. Like, I'm happy. Like, I'm good. And then losing it all, and then feeling like I wasn't who I thought that I was because I lost money, when in reality, I just didn't have the skill set of stewarding money properly. So I just remember one day, you know, we had, so long story short, we had like $1 million in the account. Over 6 to 8 months, we lost it all, and we had $12,000 in the account. Payroll was $12,600. I took $600 out of my account, paid payroll, and then we had $0. So then I called a meeting in the back of the warehouse, all 30 people immediately. And that's another side point. I'll hit on it real quick, because a lot of things that entrepreneurs deal with is they don't want to have difficult conversations, or they don't want to fire somebody, or they push off something for so long. And I've always come from the mindset of, you know, if you feel anxious about any of these things, it's very normal. So I kind of look at anxiety as something that's going to happen, and then I choose how I want it to affect my life, or how I want to give it meaning. So if I'm anxious about going to speak on a stage of 5,000 people, that's very normal. So then I have the choice of, do I want this anxiety to make me stop doing what I'm about to do, or do I want to push through it and do what I'm supposed to be doing anyways? So, and then, for instance, when I called that conversation, I knew that off of it, all of these conversations that are usually difficult and bring me anxiety, I either realized that me and the person were on the same page, but we hadn't talked through it. 2, that we have a difficult conversation and we both get better after that conversation. Or 3, it just didn't work out. So once I realized that there's only 3 options in these difficult conversations, I started to run faster to them, because I knew that I would get better from these difficult conversations. So realized we had no money, immediately called a staff-wide meeting. Hey, everybody come to the back. Guys, we have $0 in our bank account. So if you can't work here for free, then you might want to quit, because we can't pay you. And if you stay, it's just because you believe in the vision in the company. But I would understand if you left. Everybody left except for me, co-founder, and his sister. So we went from like 30 employees to 3 in like 24 hours.
But that's something that some people will never, ever do.
Yeah, it's tough.
I definitely have been in this space. So I started with grants because I owned a childcare center.
Okay.
And my childcare center, we were flat broke. But I was still a working entrepreneur at the time. And in that space, I was taking my paycheck to fund the business.
Right.
And there came a point where I didn't have the money for payroll. And I didn't have that uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
I just had it with me
Right.
internally, right? But I never went to my employees. They never knew that there was they might have knew,
Right.
but I never expressed that there was like hardship there.
Yeah.
And it was like, what can I do to be better? But looking back on it, I really wish I would have had that conversation. It probably would have took a whole lot of stress off of me
Yeah.
at that time. But that's kind of how we turned to grant funding.
Right.
And that's how we got into grants and writing grants,
That's what's
because
up.
I was a struggling entrepreneur, and that was the avenue that saved me. What was the moment, or what, you go from millions of dollars in your accounts to 12,600.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're at $0. What helped? Was it just your push and your drive and your, you continue to grow, to keep going?
Yeah.
What saved you?
I took a shower that day. So I went home. Well, after I realized that was happening, I had my friend was working for me. He's like one of my best friends, and he had flew down from Houston and moved here to work for me. So it was like that type of stress too, where cause I'm like, bro, guys, I'm getting money, like move to Atlanta, come work for me. So all of my best friends moved from Houston to Atlanta. So it was that level of stress, but we sat down, we devised a plan on how we were going to get out of it. Then I just told myself, I mean, we got $0 in the bank. That means we got one more day, before stuff starts hitting the credit cards and things of that nature. So I started just getting on the phone and on the internet and just calling up like merchant cash advance places and we ended up getting a loan based off of our last 3 months of bank statements. But we had been getting a ton of money, but we just weren't managing it right. So they saw $500K a month, $600K a month, whatever, and they loaned us $100,000 the same day.
Wow!
So we get a wire the same day. The next day, after I thought we were gonna close, we get a wire for $100,000. I put $20K to the side just to like pay back the loan as it goes, and then the rest of that we ended up having to just crawl out of the mud, over time.
Love it. So you use revenue-based funding. So funding just based off of the revenue that was
100%.
going in your business.
Terrible loan.
Terrible interest rate, terrible payments,
horrible. But it worked for what we needed at the time.
And that's what I tell people about revenue-based funding. I'm like, this is an emergency. Like, you got to have a plan. You got to be ready to execute. This is not a go-to just to, but
it just takes education. Like I knew about those because they're so easy, but I didn't know about ABL, asset-based lending. We had tons of inventory. I didn't know that we can get a loan against the inventory we had. I didn't even think about business credit cards at the time. Like I just had no clue, no lines of credit. If I knew Chase, who we bank with, will give us a line of credit for whatever we have in the bank. When I had $1 million in the bank, I'd have been like, give me $1 million a line of credit and we would have been fine. I just did not know.
It's just that education piece. And that's something I touch on all the time. It's just education and then aligning yourself with people who can help you in your journey.
Correct.
And I think now where you are in your space, like, of course you get it now.
Right.
But back then, especially with me, I didn't collaborate with them. I didn't have a mentor.
Right.
I didn't have anybody to teach me even childcare or grants. I tried to figure it out all on my own. And so that journey just took me a little longer to get to where I was. And it cost me a whole lot of money because I made a whole lot of mistakes. What are some lessons that you have learned and some things that you have put into place? So, maybe in the past you made a mistake and I can't make that mistake again. Let me learn from that mistake. And then I put this in place so I don't make that mistake again.
I think it's just changing my definition of learning in general has really helped out a ton. So for instance, if you teach me something right now, I can say that I learned it, but unless I get another opportunity to act on what you taught me and then choose the new information that you gave me, then I didn't learn anything. So now when I'm going about my life, if I go through a lesson of the sorts or whatever happens, and then I get presented with the same type of issue, if I choose the same thing that I did here and get the same outcome, I didn't learn anything. So now the way I look at it now is I just changed how I learn. So now when I see any of these issues that I go through in the past, I just ask myself, have I been through this before? And then what was the choice that I made last time? And then I'm going to do the opposite this time. But in reality, it's so tough because, it always feels so right, like when you're about to make this type of decision. But yeah, I don't know. That's how I look at it now.
Yeah, I like that. I like that strategy. I'm definitely going to take that one from you and add it to my book. So somebody's watching this right now and they're probably like, where do I go to start my e-com?
Okay.
Do I, is it Shopify? Is it, give them some game on how to start it and some things that they can do.
Yeah, sure. So I like Shopify the best personally. TikTok shop is really big right now, so I'll kind of hit on both. I'll try to be as quick as possible. So on the Shopify side, bare minimum you want to have like a couple $100, 250, 500. If you don't have that, get a job and, you know, get some revenue from that and start using it on the side. Because even me, when I first started, I had a job and I was doing my 9 to 5, from 9 to 5, and then from 6 until 2, 3 a.m. I was working on the side business until that overtook my business or my job income, and then I quit and then went from there. But so if I'm starting right now, few things I need. One, I need a website. Domain, GoDaddy, $10. A penny if you get like a .co. So let's just call it $10. I need a website from Shopify. Shopify is $1 trial, $1 a month for 3 months. So, I mean, let's call it $3. Let's call it $5 just to round it up. So we're at 15. You can build the website for free. Tons of free information on YouTube on how to build a website really easily. If they need it, I'll give it to them. It doesn't matter. Now we need a product to sell. So product, it depends on if they want to just like drop ship something or if they want to create a brand. I'm going to talk from the brand standpoint because I believe in building a brand that you can exit and sell in the future. You're not going to be able to sell like an Amazon store, or you're not going to be able to sell, you know, unfortunately digital product business as well, but we can talk about that later. So now I get a product and let's just say I want to do a t-shirt clothing brand. You can go on Instagram, type in .std in the search, and you'll see a bunch of people that have design studios. And then once you click on their Instagram, you'll see all of the designs that they do and the types of style. You can buy designs from people like that are custom for like $30 to $100. So get a design, let's call it $100. So now I'm in 115 so far, but I have a design and I have a mock-up that I can put on my website. So now I'm good to start selling because I have a website, I have a domain, and I have a product to sell, even if it's a mock-up. Now, lastly, I got to get a sample. You can get it from China, Pakistan, doesn't matter. Anywhere from $50 to like $150, depending on the complexity. Let's just round it up to 150, be super conservative.
Wow.
150 plus 115, I'm not smart enough to do that math. Let's 260 something, 265. And then now we need to get traffic, and you can do that for free on Instagram and TikTok. So you can realistically, conservatively start up this type of business for under $500.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. That's crazy. And we can do this with products, physical products. Yeah. We can do this with digital products.
Digital is even easier.
Really?
Yeah.
And so, and what I love, and I take this, I watch your social media, and I take this from you all the time. I'm like, how can I grow my social media? So I'm looking at people online and I'm watching things that they do. And you're literally like standing there or sitting down and you're pointing. And I'm like, he's pointing and his videos are getting 10 million views. And so I'm like, let me try it, right? So I love that you actually do that. And so I tried it, and I had a reel that went like crazy.
Oh, dope.
Just literally watching. But I think people miss that piece. Like, we see these viral posts, we see this success, and it's like, how can I include that with what I'm doing?
Yeah,
and then just go in and make it mine.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, and it worked.
It works. That's a big part of my strategy too. So for instance, let's just say I'm talking to a clothing brand owner, product owner, it doesn't matter. Digital product, who cares? I'll go to TikTok, and then I'll go to the search, and then I'll type in the search, whatever my niche is. So I'll just say clothing brand. And then there's the 3 dots at the top right. You can click it. It's filters. And then you can do filtered by most liked, and then last 3 months. So then I'm seeing all of the most liked videos in the last 3 months for my niche, because the best predictor of future success is recent success in the past. So I'll see that these videos are doing well in my niche, and I'll say, I mean, I could do that for my brand. And then I'll just make all of the videos that I see, not copy them. I'll just draw inspiration from them and do them in my own way. And typically what I see is, it ranges for students. So I always say to make a list of 270 videos and then make all 270, because after working with 50,000 plus students now, I've seen that on average it takes about 270 videos to get one that like absolutely changes their life. But you see some students where, like my student Jose, he posted 3 videos, like his first 3 videos ever. His third one went viral. He made 70K in 2 days.
Wow.
Versus one student like Ryan, he posted 270 videos, and then the last one was the one that worked, and he only made like 5K from it, but he gained the skill of content creation through posting 200 plus times. And then now he's doing 80K a month, 100K a month, because he understands content creation now. So, but to kind of answer your question or circle back, I look at what's working in the past and then I do it for myself in the future. And now even with my content, I wasn't the first one to do it. I just, I guess perfected it over time and stayed the most consistent with it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I actually just learned something else from you to make sure that I'm putting in my caption different things like how to find grants. So that now when people are going in and they're searching the keywords, it comes to me. It's just not a regular post. So I just picked that up. So
especially on TikTok too, because on TikTok with hashtags, they still are like decently relevant. So typically what TikTok will do is, and what I teach students, you want to have at least 5 hashtags, 3 to 5 on your post, and then put them in order from biggest hashtag, like most videos on it, to least, and then do 3 that are like broad FYP, for you, etc., and then 2 that are more niche, because TikTok will like filter your video through the bigger ones and then go down, so it'll show it to this audience and then go downwards. So that's, it's super nuanced information.
Oh, wow.
Maybe it'll help somebody.
Yeah, definitely just help me.
Well, there you go.
All you need is one.
Facts.
So you teach this information. You have a community or like mentorship or?
Yeah, so I had a mentorship, not anymore.
Okay.
So it's so random how things work. So you understand the digital side, working with a lot of clients and whatnot, and we could be honest here, hopefully.
Yes.
But so certain people like working with certain types of people, you have your B2C client, then you have like your bigger B2B client. So for me, I get better results faster for bigger clients. And then I also make a lot more money when I work with bigger clients. So my strategy, I've had 300, 400 plus active high ticket clients on the B2C side. And then now I work with B2B clients where a big brand, because of the notoriety, by the grace of God, I've been able to build for myself, they reach out to me. So now I can say, oh, you're doing $1 million a month. Let me fix a few things and coach you on Zooms once a week. And let's get you to 2 million a month, because I know how to do it, because I've done it for myself. And then give me a percentage on whatever new revenue I give to you.
Oh, wow.
So if you're at 1 million, that's your baseline. I don't want anything below 1 million. But if we go from 1 million to 2, I want 10% of the new $1 million that I just gave you. Are you comfortable with wiring me $100,000 a month if we double your revenue? And then they're like, yeah, sure. So now I can have 5 or 6 clients that are like really big, rather than working with a bunch of people at the B2C level. But then what I do for the B2C clients now is I package the information with these bigger clients, because part of working with me or whatever, I'm like, I got to document this because I create content, and then I just give it away for free to all of the new people to get them to 100K a month, $1 million a month, or whatever, so that they can work with us.
You give it away for free?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So what are some things that have, just some life-changing things that you've been able to accomplish by not only just starting your e-com brand, but being able to leverage it and now teaching other people and working with high value and high ticket clients?
Yeah. I would say we've had a lot of partnerships that I'm happy about. Excuse me. We work with Google, Netflix, the NBA, NFL.
That's amazing.
A couple other ones. A lot of celebrities have like supported the brand, so that's been fun. And I've been able to do some cool stuff for my family too, like paid off my grandma's debt. Got my mom a car, a house, things
That's
of that
amazing.
nature. Yeah.
I think that's one of a lot of people's goals, right? Like, let me buy my mom a house. So,
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, just betting on you.
Yeah,
and now
100%.
just changing everything from being, 12, 13, hiding the credit cards, to now let me just go. I don't have to hide the credit card from you anymore. I'm just going to pay the debt off for you. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I love that. I told you before, I watch your social media. Love your social media. And recently seen that you collaborated with 3 other friends.
Yeah.
And you guys started a Bible study.
Yeah.
And now you are I think the last time I seen you were at a couple, just hit 1,000.
Yeah, just hit 1,000.
Just hit 1,000 people in the Bible study, and just on a journey of being closer to God.
100%.
And I love it because that's where I am in my journey,
That's
right? Being younger, I was in the church. We went to church every Tuesday, every Wednesday, Sunday, 2-3 services.
Oh, y'all were really there.
Yeah, we were there. And then as I, grew and went off to college, I didn't keep up with it, right? So now I'm in a space where I have to get back and get closer to God. But what made you just say, you know what, this is the moment and this is what I'm going to do, and then being able to do it with your friends? I think that's huge.
I was the worst person you can think of. I'm pretty sure, like bad. So at college, I had no regard for anybody. I was like super popular in college, high school, and then going into college. I threw all the parties. I went to school early because I skipped a grade. So I was like 17 in college throwing parties. We were making like 15, 20K a month, and I'm like 17. So I'm doing whatever I want, talking to people however I want. I don't care. Then I actually got in a car accident in 2012, and we were throwing a party, and I wanted to go see who was in the line at the party because I wanted to like count how many people were there so I can see how much money I was going to make. So me and my friend drove over, and he was drunk and I didn't know. So we're driving, and then I look at him and I'm like, oh bro, he's drunk. Like I can tell by looking at him. And then when I turned back around, we were going 70 miles an hour and we like smashed into the back of a car. But I had my hair is like, my hair's long, but I had a fro in college, so it's like huge. So I hit the windshield in like my head, and then my mouth hit the dashboard, and then like all of my teeth like were just loose. Like it was bad, blood everywhere, whatever. And then I like went like this, and I felt all of my teeth were like really loose. So my big tooth was loose, and I pulled it out and I threw it because I was just so mad because I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to like look the same anymore, whatever. So I ended up having no front tooth for 2 years and just living life, you know, no front tooth, whatever. And that's just such a humbling experience where you go from, man, I'm like the most popular guy on campus to I'm walking in, checking into hotels, and then they're being like, hey, no homeless people allowed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when you go through those types of things, I really sat by myself for a long period of time and was just asking myself like, man, am I treating people right? Am I doing right by God? Am I doing all of these things? And then the answer was no. So fast forward to now recently, my boy Jaleel and Amir and my boy CJ, we have been doing Bible study for 2 years straight with Jaleel's dad because he's been in ministry 40 years. And then we wanted to go a little bit deeper, like really study the word for real. So then we sat down and said, let's do a Bible study, 4 guys on a couch, and let's do it. We did it. We did like 2 weeks in a row. And then we were like, man, these are such good conversations. Like, let's record this for ourselves just so we can watch it back and talk through it more. And we ended up figuring out the best idea was just go live on TikTok, and then we'll just watch the videos because TikTok will record it for us. Then fast forward, 100 people join the next week and watch through, then 200, then 500, then we're now at a place where like 1,000 people will be watching live online, watching us on the Bible study, and 50, 60, 70 people come in person every week.
Wow.
So it just started 2-3 months ago, and with 4 guys literally just trying to figure out like God and get deeper.
Yeah.
And then now we're like, oh crap, we got to get like 501c3 and like people are trying to pay tithes, and we just figuring out the whole situation. So
I love it. Yeah. And I love what you're doing. And I always try to make the connection with people who are starting their journey, especially a nonprofit. You can get grant funding whether you're a for-profit or a nonprofit, but being in that nonprofit space, there are so many organizations who will give you funding for what you're doing.
Yeah, give me the game. I don't know nothing.
Listen, so here's the game. I'm gonna give you the quick game. The one, especially with you being a nonprofit. So because you have you go through your nonprofit, you get your tax exempt status, and then we are just going to connect you. The easiest way is to connect you with foundations who understand, who are not against like faith-based, but with your organization, I'm sure there's so much more you want to do, right? And we can dive into that later. But you might say, you know, hey, I want to go out and I want to start teaching the youth, or I want to feed the homeless, or I want to go grab the college kid who was like me and you know help him, right? So because you have the mission to help and make an impact and do other things with your organization, foundations and companies and organizations will pour into your mission. So they'll give you grant funding to go out and do whatever it is that you want to do to help you fulfill the mission. So that's what grant funding is. I always talk about this grant because I love it so much. Chick-fil-A just gave an organization in San Francisco, $325,000.
Dope.
And the only thing they wanted to know was how they were being an inspiration.
Right.
So we just have to talk about how you and your 4 friends or 3 friends are being an inspiration and teaching and educating others, even though it's faith-based. But now we're going out and talking about how we're being an inspiration and impacting others.
Understood.
And companies will give you the money to make that happen.
Well, then,
so we're gonna make it happen.
Look, I got the best in the business right here, so we good.
We are definitely going to make it happen. But I just love what you're doing, and I think it's definitely something that's needed in our space. People, we have with social media, I think sometimes we lose focus of the journey and what's important. And we, now we have this goal of making money and being millionaires and 6 or 7 figures. Yeah, and we we lose focus on what's important. And I've been guilty of that too. Yeah, so I just love what you're doing, and I'm super excited to start tuning in. I didn't know that you were streaming live. I thought it was all in person.
Now we're streaming live on TikTok, and then it's in person in Atlanta.
Okay, perfect. I'm here
we good,
like every other day.
We do it tonight, 7 o'clock.
Okay, all right. I'll see you tonight. I'll see you tonight. That's so exciting. So with just your journey and everything that you are doing, what's another key piece of advice that you can give somebody that's watching this and they're not an entrepreneur yet and they're thinking about it?
Okay. Well, this is interesting because it depends on where they are in life in general. And the reason I say that is because I remember one time I was giving advice and this guy was asking me, like, what should I do? I work a job, whatever, and I want to be an entrepreneur. And then I started to share my story and what I did, not my story, but what I did. And I realized very quickly that what worked for us isn't going to work for everybody, because I was telling him, I'm like, bro, like, live below your means. I was in a 1-bedroom apartment with 5 people. We were splitting the rent, $200 a piece. And then I saved every dollar and ate nothing but ramen noodles for 8 months, 12 months. And then I had $16,000 laying around, and I invested it in my business, and I went from there. He's like, bro, I got a wife and 3 kids. Like, I can't go. So I'm like, okay. So when you ask stuff like that, I have to be very contextual because it might not apply. So if you're on the side of you skew younger and you can make those types of decisions, it's really simple. Get a job, live below your means, don't buy anything stupid for a long period of time, and say no to everything that is not your vision, because every time you say yes to something, you say no to what matters most. So it's really about that. And then pick one thing and focus on it for a long period of time. If you do the same thing for 10 years, it's very, very hard for you to not be successful. So live below your means, don't spend any money, get a job, put it into a business, stick with it for a long period of time. If you're on the side of wife, family, kids, etc., then it takes a conversation, a tough conversation, where you say, hey, honey, I don't like the life that I'm leading us to right now. And I'm aware of that, and I want to bring it to your attention. Mind you, I'm not married, so you tell me if this I'll look. But this is how I've
I like
talked
how
about
it sounds.
So, hey, honey, I don't like the way that I'm leading our life to go right now, and I see so much more for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a business on the side of my job. I'm not going to quit my job because I know I have to provide for the family, but you probably won't see me as much, and I won't be able to be as active with the kids right now, but I'm doing this for a allotted time period so that we can spend forever hanging out with the kids, because I put us in a position to where none of us have to work and we could be full-time entrepreneurs in general. So I'm asking you, can you hold down the fort for a year and a half? It's going to be hard. It's going to suck. And I might run out of money. I might get it back, and it's going to be up and down, but I need you to ride with me, because that's the only way I can see us get into the life that we truly want to live.
It goes back to those tough conversations.
You have to have it.
It's those tough conversations. I love how you placed it, because it doesn't matter where you are in your journey. It's never too late to start, right? And I think that's a piece that people miss out on. You can be the young kid who's trying to figure it out, or you can be the one who thought you had it figured out and thought that corporate America or working a job was for you, but it's never too late to start in your journey. 100%. So I love how you map that out. I think that's super important. You touched on something else that I think is also important and also big, and I want to you mentioned getting a job.
Yeah.
And there are so many people. I was in a debate about this before. There are so many people and coaches that say, quit your job. Right. Quit your job. You don't need your job. You need to give this 110%. And it's like, no, you keep that job and you use this as a side opportunity until this can make up for what you had. So I love that you touched on that as well, because there's so many people like, I'm ready to fire my boss. I want to be a full-time entrepreneur. And it's like, how you going to eat?
Yeah. I mean, I look at it, I agree with you. And I think it kind of goes both ways too, because it depends on your level of risk tolerance as well. So for me, I'm living in a 1-bedroom apartment with 4 people. I don't care what's going on. As long as I could pay my portion of the rent and eat, I was good. So I stack up a little bit of bread. And then what I started to do was, before like remote working was really a thing, I went to my boss and I was like, hey, I want to do the exact same level of work, but I want you to pay me less, but I want to work from home. And I don't know if this is legal, like whatever. This is just what I did at the time. So I'm by no means giving you legal advice. And then they were like, cool. And then I was like, all right. So then I was like, well, and then a couple months went by. I was like, can I do 2 days? And I'm just doing the same level of work, but just doing it at home. But when I'm done with the work at home, because I was getting it done quickly, I just work on my business. And then it ended up being, I started making $1,000. I remember it. I was making $1,000 for my side business, and my rent and food was $700. So for me, with my level of risk tolerance, I quit my job at that point because I stacked up a little bit, and my side income was paying for my rent and my food. So I was good. So then from there, with that $1,000, I had a couple $100 left over, and then a little nest egg, and that's when we started the business.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what's next for Justin P?
Oh man. So a few things. Number one, doing a challenge with Marlon and Nick that's coming up. And then after that, gonna go into, so we can talk about that a little bit, but after that, gonna go into doing more B2B work. And then honestly, I'm gonna be done with coaching soon, and just gonna go into like more creative stuff, like working more on ministry, working more on just being creative, like who knows, YouTube, music, I don't like whatever. Because I feel like I did what I was supposed to do on the product side, did what I was supposed to do on the digital product side, grew those businesses. But I started business originally because I wanted to be creative, but I was just broke. And then business started to work really well. And then I feel like I lost the creative throughout the process. And then now that I've been able to establish myself, grow a following, and make a couple coins, I'm like, man, I need to get back into the creative side and prove to myself as well that I can be successful if I put my mind to that too.
Oh, I love it.
So
you mentioned a challenge. Tell me about this amazing challenge.
The challenge is gonna be crazy. So there's 2 guys, my boys, Nick and Marlon. They own a brand called World and Vision. We actually kind of started off as rivals.
Really?
Yeah, like, cause we were coming up at the same time, and we're like doing pop-up shops at the same places, and like they're across from me and I'm across from them, and they're like, every time a customer goes over to you, we lose money or whatever. And then over the years, we just both grew our businesses. So we both done a little over $20 million in sales online. And then we said, man, let's come together and like actually teach together rather than be rivals, and then just teach everybody how to either start an online brand or scale the one that they already have. So we put together a challenge called the Scale Your Brand Challenge.
That's good.
We're going to have some big guests too. And we're going to just be laying it all out on the line. Like what's working right now for multi 8-figure companies online.
Okay. Yeah. So if I have a brand or I want to start a brand, this challenge is for me. 100%. And I come into the challenge and I learn, key strategies that 8-figure brands are using to leverage, and 100%. You're giving me the game.
1,000,000%.
Wow. How many days?
5 days,
right? 5 days.
5 days virtual event.
Virtual.
And if the audience would like, if there's anybody out there, then you can go to scaleyourbrandchallenge.com.
Okay.
Pull up.
That's good. So does this strategy work for digital products as well?
Yeah, that's what I love talking about the digital space, because I did the physical space, but then I started teaching. So now the same revenue that we were doing on the physical space, I do it on the digital side now too. So yes, to answer your question shortly, it's all products. You just have to know how to sell them, like the actual marketing mechanism to sell them. So it's a little bit different from physical to digital, but it's all just selling products online.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. See, I'm in this space. I do more digital, right?
Okay.
And, ebooks and courses. And now I'm like, people, they want to purchase a product from me. They need a product. So now I'm like, I probably probably need to be in this challenge because
Okay.
I probably have products that I want to put out or merch that I need to put out or even an actual planner, right?
Yeah.
A grant planner or something that
see.
I can put out.
We can talk through it.
Yeah, we definitely can talk through it. I think that'd be so amazing. On the digital side, I think there's more we can do, but I think I got it figured out. But it's like, where's that product, Coach K? Like, you got to have that product, and people want that. So I'm super, super excited about that.
You have any questions about it? Like, I'm just curious. Maybe if I help you out while we're talking here, it
Let's
might help
do
some others.
it. I got a ton of questions.
Okay.
So I've been thinking about doing a grant planner.
Okay.
And in this planner, I have a digital planner, but in this planner, it's, the education of, not too much, but the education of grants. It may be like a little template that kind of tells you how to answer questions. And it gives you, my strategy is applying for one grant every single day.
Okay, dope.
And the entrepreneur that applies for 20 to 30 grants has a 99% success rate of getting funding.
Okay.
So if I'm encouraging you to apply for one grant every day,
Right.
I'm giving you the grant, I'm giving you the planner, and I'm showing you what to put on these applications.
Right.
It's almost impossible for
Yeah,
you
as
not
long
to
as you
win
just
as
do
long
it.
as you execute.
Right.
So I want that, I have a digital copy, but I'm like, if I give it to people and they're able to have it in their hand or their purse, and now they see it,
Right.
now this is a strategy
actually
that they'll
use it.
actually execute and use. So it's really just putting it together.
Okay.
I have it together, I have the vision, but it's putting it out there.
Okay.
So now I know where to start, right? Because you just gave me a strategy on what to do, but what's next for me?
Right, I see. So there's going to be a few things for you. Because you already have a lot of the early on stuff. Because usually I go brand identity first, but you have, I'm assuming, your logos and things of that nature. Then after that is product development. So usually I would just kind of get like a dump of all the ideas and thoughts that you have, and then have you show me what exists in the market already that you like already. And then from there we can develop the product together and get like what I call a winning product. Because most of the time what people struggle with is they're putting these ideas out and they're thinking that they're a lot better than what they actually are because they don't have enough context to know what good is yet. So for example, you come into the t-shirt game and then you put out a t-shirt with your logo on it, and then you wonder why no one cares after your friends and family. It's because no one has affinity to your logo at all. No one knows what you're doing. And then you're going up against Nike, Gymshark, Lululemon, and then your brand. And then the consumer has $100 left in their pocket, and they have to choose, who am I going to spend this money with between these billion-dollar companies and this new brand with the logo on a t-shirt that I have no clue about. So we typically would develop a product that really can stand out amongst all of this. So that includes design. So we already know how to get a design. We just talked about that. But for you, I would do something probably a little bit more extensive. So I'd go to a website called 99designs.com. And
What did I do with my phone?
so two things. One, I'd go to 99designs.com, and it's cool because basically what you do there is you submit a brief of what you want a designer to do. And then you tell them, these are my colors, this is what I want it to be like, and this is the brief for it. And then hundreds of designers will start designing and then bid on it, and then you'll see what they did, and then you only pay for the one that you like.
What?
So and it's like really cost effective. That's number one. Or two, I'd go to a website called behance.net, and then you type in like whatever, book, whatever it is, and book designer or whatever, and you'll see a ton, and you can just pick and choose who's good, and then go to their Instagram and contact them from there. So now we have to get the design. Then we have to do a tech pack, because when you're sending this off, people struggle with this too. Because if we don't have a tech pack, which is short for technical package, which is I send over a document that has all of the logistics of the actual product. How big is the book? How length times width? How many pages is it? What does the design on the pages look like? Does it have plastic lamination on some pages? Things of that nature. So we map that whole thing out. Super cheap to do, about like $70 or so. I use this guy on Fiverr. I'll send him to you after. Or I have this girl that she does like tech packs for the biggest companies like Supreme and like all of these big dogs. She's a little bit more expensive, but she's good. Now take your tech pack and then you send it over to your supplier, and then your supplier will make it. There's a ton of stuff there. I'll try to touch it because I really want to help out, but I don't want to be like talking forever. So I'll just stop me whenever. But searching for a supplier, there's two ways that you could do it. For you, I'd probably find a supplier that is very proven because they do stuff for brands that you already know about. So this is how you can do that. So first, what you do is you go on the website for whatever competitor you're talking about, scroll all the way to the bottom, and then there's a privacy policy. They all have to have it. You click on the privacy policy, and then it's going to say, you know, let's say Kylie Cosmetics, for example. It's actually a company, or Huda Beauty, all of these different companies, they have real names, like their LLC names. So it'll be like HD Holdings or something like that. Then you take that, because it'll be like HD Holdings doing business as Huda Beauty, trademark logo, because they have to say that in their privacy policy. You take it and then you put it into this software. It's called Import Genius. And then what it does is it shows you everything that LLC has imported ever. So, and it shows you who shipped it as well, because when you're shipping in and out of the United States, they have to have a bill of lading. Where is this coming from? Who's it going to, etc. So then you look at, oh, Kylie Cosmetics got this from XYZ shipper, and then I look up the shipper in Google, and then it shows me who's the supplier for this particular business, and then you can contact them directly and then do business with them.
Wow.
So, I mean, but then you find your supplier, and then from there you send me your tech back, and now you got a product.
Okay. It's happening.
Yeah,
I'm an executor. So
I bet.
it's like, let's do this after Bible study tonight.
100%, yeah.
We're going to make this happen. That
Sure.
is so exciting. But you also teach this information, and then your social media, you show it all the time. And
Right.
I'm always like, how does he know where Fenty Beauty got their stuff
Right,
from, or where
right.
Lululemon? So
Yeah.
that's the breakdown and how you've been able to figure out.
It's all public information.
Wow.
Which I love, because people are like, why do you give out all this like information? And it's really a challenge to make better content, honestly, because I just give people like, what's your content strategy? And I say, bro, I just open up my course and then give all the information away for free. And then as I give that information out, because what people are paying for when they work with us is access and implementation. The information is everywhere, but they want to have access to us and then learn how to implement it with us. So
that's good. This has been amazing. This might be my favorite episode
praise
now.
God.
I appreciate you so much. Is there any last piece of advice or anything that you want to touch on for the audience, and just to give them a last little bit of game or a last little bit of access?
Last little bit of game. What am I feeling in my spirit? First thing, I don't know why it always comes back to this. It's just focus, bro. Focus. It kills them every time, okay? Like, they come into a business or idea, they start off really excited, and then time goes by, and then they get less excited because they realize it's hard. Then more time goes by, and they hit that valley, like the valley of despair. It's like, nothing's working. This is way too hard, and I don't know what to do. And then instead of pushing through, understanding that it's hard, and then gaining more knowledge to be able to find success, even though it's difficult, they go back to the start and then find something new that looks more attractive. And then they realize that that's just as hard too. And they spend the rest of their life in something I call the liability loop. You find something new, it's hard, you get discouraged. You find something new, it's hard, you get discouraged. Rather than finding something new, it's hard, you get discouraged, but you push through over a long period of time, and then finally it stabilizes itself, because you know it's hard, but you also know what you're doing now because you've stayed in it long enough. So I guess that's my challenge, stick with it.
Justin, this has been amazing. I thank you for pouring into my community.
Yeah, sure.
Can you tell everybody where they can find you and how they can connect and get all of this amazing information?
Guys, if you got any value at all, praise God. You can follow me on Instagram at Justin P, TikTok at ecomjustinp. And if you got a couple extra dollars to spare and you want to spend a couple of days with me and the friends and learn all of this stuff in super detail, then run over to scaleyourbrandchallenge.com, and we would be honored to help you guys out.
And we thank you so much. You guys, this has been another crazy episode of Access Granted. If you found value, I know you found value, and I'm stamping this as one of my favorite episodes, but I want you to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with 3 other entrepreneurs. We'll see you next time.